Hi again, everyone, and welcome to Peak Reviews. Today's episode, I've got a pretty special one for you. I've been sent this, which is basically the TLC QLED TV. And what's interesting about this is a very cheap QLED TV. You can pick them up very cheap at the moment for around $400 or so. And they're on a total reduction on Amazon. I've been sent this to test it out and basically check if it can do what it says on Amazon. And what they're saying on Amazon is basically this has a 2.1 HDMI connection. Apparently it has a 100 hertz panel. And I've even read, and it's still unclear if it's possible because the vendor TLC are indicating that there is a 2.1 HDMI port on this thing, on this bad boy. But I've not really found any sources to say if there is actually a possibility to render out 120 hertz from the next generation consoles with this particular TV. So it's actually going to be very interesting, and for me to actually just go through the unboxing and the total review of this thing and to see if it's even possible to render out 120 hertz. I don't believe so. The manufacturer puts 2.1 in the actual advertisement. You'll see it now being displayed, blop. And you can see here basically it's stating that it's in the title 2.1, but if you check down the specifications themselves, we basically have 60 hertz only. So there's a kind of a misconfusion there, because to me, basically anybody that is looking for these new televisions that support 2.1. 2.1 to me is the new standard for 120 hertz rendering on these panels. So again, it's another test on this review to see if that's actually the case. So I will just get into the unboxing now. I've chosen this is the 43 inch. I'm not looking for the big one. I just need this as a separate screen. So I've gone for the smaller one, and like I say, they're in budget. This is like very budget for a QLED. They say it's a QLED. I'm going to test this and make sure if it actually does what it says. So in the box, I get some quite nice goodies here. You can see I get a power cable. I get the remote control. I get the batteries, I get the guarantee. I get some additional screws for the foot brackets, so you can stand this TV up. Let's check what we have in the remote. So this is the remote itself, and quality-wise, I would say that's really quite cheap quality. It's very plasticky. It's very plasticky and has a Netflix button and some other functionalities, but generally wise, I would say that's a very cheap remote control. I'm not expecting like a metal premium experience like you would on the very flagship models of these TVs. So I can't complain, for the money, and I don't think anyone else can either. So I think that's fine the way it is. You get some batteries included as well, which is really nice. You get a power cable. Oh, actually I have two remote controls. Very interesting. So actually now I get a second remote control. I have no idea why, while I'm unboxing this, but look, I have a second remote control. Again, very cheap quality. Again with a Netflix button, and with the standard functionality that you would find a remote control, but it's the cheap plastic. You don't expect anything fancy. I need to figure out why I have two remote controls. It looks like that this could be for the soundbar. Apparently there's a speaker that comes with this thing. I don't know. I'll check it later and we'll see why that is. And you get some screws, like I said. So that's pretty much what you get. Additionally here, it's quite nice that they included 4 batteries for both remote controls, so that's quite good. So let's get the thing out, shall we? Now, actually, I should have two people doing this, but I'm crazy, so I go with one. I have one bracket for the foot. There's only one bracket, which is strange. Oh, and here's the second bracket. So there's two brackets that go onto the actual bottom of the TV itself, which is quite nice. And yeah, I'm feeling a bit tired. I think it's time for a coffee. So now I have the packaging. It's very well packaged on the actual thing itself. I'm very surprised with that. It's stable at the top here where the TV is, so we can get rid of that. And here's the actual panel itself. I will bring it down and show you guys. So this is basically what comes in the box. Of course, we need the TV itself. I will get it out now. I have to be very careful not to break anything. I will do it in a very different manner, like this. So the packaging itself, I managed to get the box out, so I had to pause the video on there. But you get an additional bit of packaging at the bottom, so the actual device itself is really well packed in there. Really impressed with that. So now it comes, here's the TV itself. So it comes really well packed. The panel, should I say, because everyone's calling TVs panels nowadays. And comes wrapped up in this. And here we are. Here's the actual panel. I'll lift it up so you can see it. It has a little sound bar at the bottom. Here's the TV itself. Be very careful not to break that. It's a nice panel at the front. I turn it around very slowly. I'm quite nervous here. I'll show you the ports. These are the ports you're getting. So I have an HDMI 2K, a USB 3 port, and a HDMI 1. And there is no mention anywhere on there, as far as I can see, that there is a 2.1. I'm just looking again. So no actual 2.1. I need to check that later. There could be false advertising by the manufacturer, unfortunately. Looks like it's only a standard 2.0. Just checking the other sides. Nope, no indication there at all that there's a 2.1 in here. So I'll check that later, but you basically get all these ports here. Yeah, and as you see, no 2.1. So anyway, I'm going to set it up now. But this is basically what you're getting for a budget TV. It's a very flat panel. Almost bezel-less. Don't know if you can see that properly, but there's hardly any bezel up here, which is quite nice. But I'm a little bit disappointed about the 2.1 thing. I really feel that they shouldn't advertise those particular aspects if there is none. So we'll see. I'll set it up. I'll put it down in a minute. I did additionally buy 120 hertz factor cable here additionally. So there will be no excuse. In the box itself, you don't actually get any cable. So there's no HDMI cable, especially on what I got. So be prepared to buy an additional cable for this thing. But what I see, there is no cable. So yeah, I think the next step now is to set this up. I will do it in a dark room. I will get the mounts on. They go at the bottom here. So you can see that up there. And I will get this set up and we'll display it in the dark room. I've heard some really different reviews with this thing, that there's clouding and all these kind of things. So for my case, if that's the case, if I were a consumer, I would send it right back. But this is what Peak Reviews does. We try and review stuff and give you a proper insight to help you decide to buy something if it's worth your time and effort. So I've got it rigged up, managed to get it all rigged up here. Don't know if you can see that very well in the image, but there appears to be a little bit of clouding at the bottom. It's quite dark in this room because I want to emphasize on the quality of the picture. But there seems to be a bit of clouding going on. Now I'm going to actually go through the whole thing, set it up, and test it, and see if this is the case. But generally at the moment I'm a little bit concerned about that clouding. One thing to mention, I finally set up this device. The one thing to mention, let me move this across. This device, I could not connect to my 5 gigahertz router with this device here. It wasn't possible. And I could only connect with my Android device. So that totally indicates to me that this device doesn't support 5 gigahertz connections. So that's a bit of a shame. Maybe when this is updated, I will update this system. It will be able to have a proper support for my 5 gigahertz fiber connection router. But yeah, I wasn't able to proceed. The actual setup itself was quite nice up to now. Very straightforward. If you've got an Android phone, you can sync them, so you can do voice control from your Android phone with Google, hi Google, etc. It'll find the device, you get given a key, you connect, and then you can control the TV with voice commands. So I'll just go through the rest of the setup now. Right, so I've got it all set up now. I'm signed into my Google account. Unfortunately, there seems to be a little bit of ghosting going on at the bottom there. So on the edges of the screen, you can see a bit of clouding and clouding at the bottom. If I come back on the screen itself, it's actually, ignore that dot there, that's a lighting thing. So it's not actually a defect with the system itself, sorry, the panel itself. But the sharpness and clarity is actually very nice. I'm very impressed by that. This QLED is actually quite nice technology. Like the blacks are really black, but the thing that annoys me is that bit of clouding at the bottom. I want to see what happens when I go past to the next steps and get it set up properly, and then start using it with the console and see how that is. So here is basically when you're in the menu system. The menu system is quite basic. I've seen more advanced menu systems. So I have like the basic setups. It does have a built-in Google Assist, so if you want to do voice commands. And you also have the possibility to use a Chromecast. So it has a built-in Chromecast as well. I won't be using that because I won't be using this to like display stuff from my actual phone itself. One of the things I'm quite impressed about TV so far is actually the built-in sound bar. It actually seems to have a pretty good sound output. But generally it's very good. Now they advertised that there is 4 HDMIs. There's only 2. I could only find 2, unfortunately. And you can't change the bandwidth of any of them. There's just like custom configurations. So I got my game console because I'll be using that myself. We have this as well, mic LED. That's completely useless, to be honest. Date, time, language, keyboard, storage. Okay, you have 11 gigabytes of internal storage on the device. I can set a home screen if I want to. So I can custom my channels, etc. This is for Google Access, this is for Chromecast. So I won't be using that. Get out of that. But you can set it up there. You can use the screensaver. Any backdrop, anything pre-selected. So we're trying to like a higher output, like an 8K. This is the sound, by the way. So don't expect to be blown away. but this is the actual image quality. So quite impressive actually when you look at it at a higher scale. That first video wasn't a good example, but you can see the clarity in the image. It's pretty amazing actually if you're sitting here for such a budget TV. With this QLED technology, it really brings out a lot of colors and sharpness. It's like night and day from LCD. So I'm really impressed with that, and I'm not seeing any sort of clouding on the image itself. It's just on the back screen without anything going. So this is the video test. Like if I could zoom up, you can see it's like really good quality. So really impressive. It's really sharp as well. For that kind of money, I think it's a steal. Plugged in the Xbox Series X now. It did not detect 120 Hertz. So this panel is not 120 Hertz. I update the firmware, did all the things. So if you're on an Xbox Series X, as a gaming perspective, you can, I've toggled off 50 Hertz. I've got Dolby Vision for gaming, that's auto detected, which is really nice. I have an auto HDR, 10 and standard. And the standard for coloring, which is YCC 422, is all available. And as you can see here, there is an auto low latency mode as well included. So we should be getting, I've read that this should be refreshing at least 100 Hertz if I'm playing in 4K. You're not going to get, it says 2.1 in the advertisement, you're not going to get that on this screen. There is another version of this particular screen from the same maker, TLC, and they have a premium version of this. This is the standard version of this QLED set, but they have a more advanced version of it, and that does include 120 Hertz, but you're not going to get it from this screen. Yeah, so like just to confirm to you, everything else is supported, but not your 120 Hertz. So don't expect it, okay? Now on the control itself, you've got a number of options. You need to press this for the menu system. And once you're in the Xbox, what will happen is you will get an additional menu system come up. And you can actually change a lot of the parameters. So I read that you should be changing this to game mode when you basically switch out with an Xbox or with a console. There's a few more options as well. I can change the sound options as well, so I can have virtual sound effects, so I'll choose that one as well. As you can see, there was a lot of options. Enhanced bass. I'll try out a few and see what's going on. So what's this? See the action like you're in the stands. I don't know what sports mode is. I'm going to play around with it for a moment. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. And then you can go back to the settings, and I can also adjust the picture. So I've got way more settings now than what I did before. So I've got brightness control. All these things I've turned off. I do not want like automated dynamic contrasts. Color, I've kept it warm because I'm in a dark room, you see. So I want to keep the warmth. Gradations clear and high. Not going to adjust the sharpness. I'll keep it on the default settings. Reduces motion, so let's put that on, clear LED motion. So we can put this on now. So apparently the motion clarity at the top reduces motion blur and fast moving objects, where clear LED motion at the bottom controls the LED backlight to make fast moving objects appear clearer for great sport. So let's put that on. And there's a calibration. I'll put that on. And color space. Let's go with native. So there's a lot of options you can play around with. Screen settings. I want this aspect ratio, auto detect. So we're outputting at true 4K, and now I'm going to play Halo and try and give you an overview. It's not really doing justice here, but the picture actually is really good. It's extremely sharp. I'm not getting, now we're on the darks. So generally, it's pretty snappy. I will try and demo, so I'll continue my campaign. I'm actually quite impressed with this TV, really, for the price range. It's actually pretty impressive, like detailing's pretty cool. This QLED technology really is a game changer for me. Coming from LED, oh sorry, LCD. I'm quite impressed. It's pretty snappy. There's no screen tab, so I can literally see a lot of details here. And the sound is really quite good. I don't think you need to invest in a sound bar unless you want a home cinema setup. I'm just using this in one of my small rooms. So, pretty impressive stuff. You can see the details there. Pretty sharp. The blacks are very black. And it looks pretty damn incredible. I'm pretty shocked. Certainly a step up from an LCD. So, yeah. So now I'm just testing with a football game that generally shows you low latency. And this is FIFA 22. And what I can see, there's very little latency actually. It's like really smooth. So impressive stuff. So I think they when you boot up a game, it goes into game mode and then you have 100 Hertz. So that's pretty much it for the TCL review. Now the final conclusion is, would I recommend a TV like this? Or this particular TV? Absolutely. I was testing it last night and really loved the experience of it. Find it fantastic. It seems very low latency, even though we're not 120 Hertz. But that you don't recognize that. And I was playing games and I was like, this is really snappy and really strong in terms of refresh rates, etc. The image is crystal clear, beautiful image. The blacks are fantastic. I don't think for any price range or any types of money you're going to get something that's like that, to that standard, to be honest. I think it's the best you can get on the market for that particular price range. The only thing that got me down, or I would say is an off-put, and it's not really fair that it was advertised, the 2.1 is simply not there. Possibly is a 2.1 port. I couldn't see any indication of that. Even after a firmware update, I still wasn't able to unlock 120 Hertz. So that's a bit misleading. Fair in a way that the vendor has put down that it's only a 60 Hertz display. But if you put in the title 2.1 as a HDMI, people or next gen gamers or people that are looking out for these TVs are going to jump at that. So that's really misleading. In fact, it would mislead anybody. But you know, if I had to give this a mark out of 5, I would give it a 4 straight up. The only slight issue, there's a bit of clouding at the bottom of the screen. It's very minimal. I don't particularly see it, to be honest, when I'm gaming. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't stand out. You really have to look for it. But I can actually confirm, like what the other users said, that there is an aspect of clouding there, unfortunately. But I think for this price range, it's a fantastic TV, and it's the best you can get on the market, to be honest. So yeah, great TV, recommend it. Just be aware that it's not fully supporting 2.1. Now if you like this video, thanks for checking out the whole video. Please like, subscribe, comment. We'll keep doing more reviews.